are we going to be talking about a certain set of files?
Yes, I think we could talk about that. Hey, welcome to the show. I'm Dave Marks, the Spy Guy. I'm here with Warhound Actual, and we're going to talk about, just because I guess we're going to have to talk about the Olympics because absolutely nothing important has happened this week, right?
Hey, I do have to say this, the absolute mind-numbing amount of people talking about, hey, at least the Olympic Village actually has beds this time of year. People don't have to absolutely annihilate the beds every time they want to get hinky. Sorry, the memes about the cardboard beds in Paris were absolutely hilarious. Like, it was great.
Yeah, no, definitely. My understanding, a friend of mine's father used to be work for the local, and we are being, one of your guys is joining to watch, so that's great. In the chat, welcome. So we were, one of my friend's father used to go to every Olympics, and he said going the floor of every Olympic Village would just be nothing but condoms everywhere because these people spend their entire lives training, and the first time they get to do it, only time they get to do it is when they're at the Olympics.
Yeah. It's quite hilarious because there was actually at Paris there was this one swimmer that I actually follow on Instagram. I forget where she placed exactly in the rankings, but she did decently well, and literally 9-10 months later she has a baby, and everybody's like, oh my god, and then it turns out that her and her fiance have been together for a year and a half, 2 years beforehand, and everybody was like, oh, I'm like, you're just mad that she's not a whore. You're just mad. But yeah,
and he said, and if you walk through there, they're all saying, hey, come join us.
Yeah, seriously.
And he's like, I can't do that, I'm married, I can't.
It's like, I actually have somebody in my life rather than, the boring ass motherfuckers you are, where you do nothing but train all the time. I actually have a life.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, nothing important at all has happened other than a metric fuck ton of Europeans resigning from government positions because, oh dear Lord, they were implicated in a massive intelligence operation that they weren't really supposed to be involved in. Interesting.
Oh yeah, definitely. We're watching the entire Labour Party in the United Kingdom, which was going down in defeat heavily in whenever the next election was going to happen, but they're even worse shape now. And Keir Starmer, I keep waiting for him to just leave. I can't. The last question period where he's whiny that he can't fire his chief of staff or his government will disappear.
Oh yeah, it's getting the whole thing with what's his name, Madelson, is that how you say his name? Madler, whatever the hell.
Lord Madelson.
Madelson. Okay, so I had it right. The whole thing with him, it's like, oh, where was the money going, buddy?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you start to realize, when these files dropped initially, everybody was like, this proves it. And yet everybody was only focusing on the tip line stuff. They were only focused. They were so the left. It was very clear the left had this whole operation plan from the get-go where they were going to have this massive narrative push on the tip line. And then all of a sudden you have this just astronomical implosion of just, oh, there's a lot of European bureaucrats involved here. I wonder what happened. And then, of course, you got the people who are, hyperly fixating on, oh my God, it's Mossad. And it's like, well, Mossad is literally a branch off of MI6, and same thing with the CIA, and MI5 is what gave birth to MI6. So in reality, you should be thinking, you know, it's like, wait a minute, I should go look at what MI6 is doing and what MI5 is doing. And you know, but hey, you know, stupid people are stupid, unfortunately. Spy, did you die? Oh, I'm not sure what happened there, chat. Apparently, good old spy guy might have disappeared on us. I'm not sure. Holy crap! Where'd he go? Huh. All right. Well,
yeah. Hey, sorry about that, guys. I got my my main. For some reason, my main computer setup is not working because the weather around here is constantly on the thing. So I switched to my laptops, which worked just as well.
Okay, well, I was just like, I was speaking, and then I realized that you weren't there, and I was like, "What's going on? Where's dude?" Yeah. But and just to comment on JP in the chat, you know, the resignations are going to come over time.
Yeah.
The initial ones that have resigned now are just the ones that there's so much evidence against them, it's unfucking real. And remember, this release was 3 million documents. Yeah. Like there are now we have good information indicating there's over 6 million documents all total across the entire thing. And mind you, each document is, you know, multiple pages and stuff like that. So you're talking a massive amount of information that, you know, and I'll remind people the release of this information was ready to go way before they even wanted to actually put it out. They had a team that they had brought in to specifically review and redact these documents. And then the judge that was overseeing this thing ordered a second review and even more redactions. And yet nobody's talking about that judge. Not a single fucking person. And it's like, okay, so there's a bunch of judicial hinky shit going on in the background that nobody's talking about. And as a result, it's going to take time because they're gonna try to force redactions on certain information to protect certain people within the apparatus. Again, you're watching all the resignations, and all the resignations are targeting the people that have been screaming the most that Donald Trump went to the island. Donald Trump is messing around with little kids. It's all of the people who are targeting that narrative. It's them that are actually being outed as being involved with Epstein. And it's like, maybe the confession is through the projection, and we just, you know, we didn't want to acknowledge it.
Yeah. Tom Luongo had a great thing on the market report this week where he's basically said, you know what, maybe this was intentional that Trump said it was all a hoax just so he could trap the left into saying there must be something in there, we need to get it. He's only saying that because he's in it, and then it all comes out and he's barely in it.
Oh yeah, no, and so unfortunately I don't have my subscription to the market report right now. Unfortunately with the baby and everything, I haven't been able to have the extra money to throw around like that. But I have been listening to some of the conversations he's been having on other podcasts, and it was very clear that mentality was starting to take shape, because you notice how, you know, whenever they talk about the Epstein shit, you know, being the left, they're targeting specifically just Trump. They have tunnel visioned themselves into only speaking about Trump. And now the moderates are seeing the absolute insanity that these people are.
Yeah.
And to the point where now you have moderates who are literally questioning, like, wait, what is going on here? Because the Epstein files, for the longest time, and I do agree with Tom on this very heavily. The Epstein files were pushed out in front of us as this big, red herring to a degree. Because they were never going. It was very clear. Obama never released it. Freaking Joe Biden. I almost said Bill Biden. Joe Biden never released anything. It was very clear with the Democrats in power because, again, they assumed that they were just going to sweep every election past 2008. They thought that they were going to be able to just, shake this out in front of the bull that was the right and just keep these people spun up. Now, of course, then you have the Juicebergs who are absolutely convinced that, Epstein was just a Mossad thing. And I'm like, you're retarded because guess what? Freaking David Maxwell, is that his name?
Yeah, I believe so. Lord Maxwell?
Yeah. Yep. Lord Maxwell. I'll use that term, Lord Maxwell.
Yeah.
Lord Maxwell was entrenched in MI5. Like everybody drew a connection to MI6 because of people that he associated with and everybody that he was running around with all the time. But the problem is that then you look behind that and then you're like, oh shit, he's actually entrenched with MI5. Like he is full bore in there. And for those who don't know, when it comes to the UK, the true power apparatus behind 10 Downing is MI5, period in the story. Like those are all, MI5 is all the old heads that know how the system there runs, period in the story. So, again, it's one of those things where it's like, no, we're not going to do this whole Juiceberg bullshit where we're just like, oh, it's Mossad. It's like, no, we're going to target the ones that are actually fucking behind it because they want you to target Mossad.
Yeah.
Because if you're targeting Mossad, you're not targeting them.
Right. The international Jewry is always like the convenient blame game for all the surface level of people.
Well, you remember the ultra nationalist Jews. Mm-hmm. And they are a very finite group of people, but they love being the whipping boys. They love it because it gives them the narrative that they need to be like, Judaism is under attack. The Jewish identity is under attack. It's what gives them the narrative that they need in order to maintain their position. Because if all of a sudden the Jewish identity is not under attack, they got nothing. They have nothing. So yeah, the whipping boys, the self-professed whipping boys are definitely there, 100%.
Yeah, and it's just embarrassing watching the British immediately drop out. It's all Russia.
Oh,
bringing in steel again. Like seriously, this is your source.
So here's the funny part about that. Here's the great part is, when I first saw that story going across Twitter, I was like, oh, is this going to be their fucking play? And then all of a sudden, they got countered by all the other narratives. Like that narrative fell apart so spectacularly because you had the Brits and the French were trying to play the Russia card. Mm-hmm. The American establishment, the neocons and the neolibs here, were trying to play the Chinese narrative. Mm-hmm. And then we're continuously showing people like actually in reality, there's a criminal, like an actual legitimate criminal element that is responsible for a lot of it. And then they start connecting the dots to different intelligence agencies. And then all of a sudden it kills the other two narratives, like the whole China narrative. And of course, then you have Israel trying to, play like, oh, it's all Iran's fault. And it's like, shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny just watching all the people rat scurry once the stone has been pulled up and you see them all like, oh crap.
Yeah, no. As soon as you lift the stone up, all of a sudden, all the cockroaches fucking flee. Yeah. And what you end up actually realizing very quickly is that most of these cockroaches were on their way out anyways, because this was their last gasp attempt to destroy Donald Trump and prevent him from basically gutting the UN. Like, look what we did in fucking at the UN. We or the WHO. We fucking sent a team of Marines to go retrieve our fucking flag.
Good.
We said fuck you. That's our flag. You don't get to fucking keep that. And they thought that they, like, per my understanding, the operation included law enforcement, where law enforcement looked at the WHO people and they were like, "You want us to fucking stop the U.S. Marines from taking their shit back? Sorry, Chief, I don't get paid enough."
Yeah.
and it's hilarious to me. It's absolutely hilarious to me. And then, of course, the UN or the UN as a whole is now they're looking at insolvency, like complete and total insolvency by July, to where now they're talking about unwinding a shit ton of operations, including a bunch of peacekeeping ops that they're doing.
No, I hadn't heard about the Marine story so much. I've been doing.
That literally just happened yesterday. It was hilarious.
Oh, okay.
It was hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just the more that we expose them, the more they're losing their power base. And at this point in time, the death nail will be us completely gutting the United Nations to the point where it's like, oh, you don't have any power here. Oh, by the way, go pay $1 billion to be a member of the Peace Board.
Yep.
Oh, and by the way, that's a yearly fee that you have to pay in. Like, that's a flat yearly fee. If you want to have any decision-making power whatsoever when it comes to the Peace Board, you have to pay $1 billion. And mind you, if they keep the Peace Board on a very even keel, you say you have $200 billion, dollars, you have 200 permanent members of the Peace Board. Oh, by the way, who's the permanent chairman of the Peace Board?
Currently President Donald J. Trump.
And after he leaves office, he is still the chairman of the Peace Board. So right. It's really, really funny to see these people realize, like, oh shit, like he's dismantling us completely. And I actually have a feeling I know who his pick to be the replacement would be.
Oh, who is that?
To be completely frank, absolutely frank, I think Marco Rubio.
Ah, yes. Well, I was just listening to Based Camp this morning, and they were talking about what's going on in Cuba and how that's the next domino to fall. They only have, like, 2 weeks left of gasoline.
Oh yeah, no, Cuba is fucked. Especially given the fact that we now know their connection to a lot of the cartels. Cuban intelligence has been using the cartels as a means to fund themselves and to fund Cuba as a whole. And now that we're starting to see some of the stuff coming into play, it's like, oh shit, like Cuba has been a much, much bigger player in this game than we initially fucking realized. And now I fully understand why Marco Rubio has had such a hard on for Cuba for so long.
Yeah. No, I was not quite as surprised, because back in 2013, 14, I wrote an article for a magazine called Modern War. Sadly, it's no longer around. And I did a article on the Venezuelan military, and I got a big eye of how integrated Cuba was into Venezuela. And basically, I said one time to some normie, this is all, we're watching the end of Cuban imperialism on Venezuela. And she's like, the normie's like, what? Cuban imperialism? Come on, Dave.
Well, no, because now here's my perspective on it personally. Is the quote unquote personal military unit that Nicolas Maduro supposedly started, which now we know for a fact that no, he actually didn't have anything to do with that. That's how Cuba was keeping its fangs in Venezuela as hard as they were. And that unit was made up entirely of Cubans. So it's like, okay, yeah, no, there's a heavy involvement from Cuba. But is this a actual, Cuba taking control of Venezuela, or is this, Cuba offering assistance to Venezuela? What was it? And now that we have the confirmation on a few things, it's like, oh shit, like Cuba's a lot bigger of a player. And then we start drawing the lines from Cuba to Europe. And that's when it gets really fucking interesting, because it's like, oh shit, like the Europeans have been using Cuba for a long fucking time against us.
Yeah. And the base camp was talking about basically the Antifa is actually brought in to Cuba and trained by Cuban intelligence.
Yes. Actually, we're starting to actually get a little bit of a true understanding of the extent of that. So, when Cam Higbee and 0 Hour and a couple other people started Data Republican and a few others, it was a whole team of people, but there was an apparatus under them as well. When they started breaking open these signal chats and actually identifying people and actually started outing people, friggin' Lieutenant Governor Flanagan, for example, like when that happened, when she was outed fully, notice how Tim Walz immediately fucking started actually talking to Trump, stopped bloviating, stopped actually, making noise. And he was like, oh shit, I need to get ahead of this as quickly as possible, because now that she's outed, I'm dead if I don't get out ahead of this. And that's the whole thing, is at the end of the day, what you end up finding in those signal chats, some people have been able to get some more information, and like, yeah, these people are straight up like, they're like, you can't go to Mexico, you can't go to Canada, you have to go to Cuba. But now we're putting the pressure on Cuba so heavily that now they're being forced to. There's been a few people that have straight up said, I'm getting out and going to Europe. And it's like, oh, really? Why Europe? Why not, to counter the miscreants that are like China. It's like, why are the commies fleeing to Europe?
Mm-hmm.
It's very curious, isn't it? Why wouldn't they flee to their communist utopia, China?
Yeah, right.
Oh, why does Jackson Hinkle maintain his residence in Russia? Why doesn't he maintain his residence in China? I wonder why.
Yeah.
By the way, on that, I'm pretty sure, because there were some whispers going around about Jackson Hinkle. I'm pretty sure that there's FSB that has been keeping an eye on Jackson Hinkle entirely, period, in the story, because I think he's part of this same network.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I think he's linked in completely with this little network of fuckheads in Europe. So, because fucking Adam, that's his real name. Haz al-Din Adam, shitbag. Adam he doesn't go to Russia. He will not go to Russia, which is like, why can Jackson travel to Russia, but you can't? I wonder who you're linked to, bud.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, and the spider web that has continued to expose itself has been so profound. Like, it's gotten to the point where now we are finding more and more and more and more, and especially within our own circles, like Steve Bannon, for example, being fully outed as being part of this intelligence operation. It's like, holy shit. Like at this point in time, anybody who is worth their salt, they're going to immediately just be like, oh, I need to get distance from him as quickly as fucking possible.
Yeah. It was just, it's pretty bad. I've been watching, giving my thoughts on that 2-hour video of him and Epstein. And it's been kind of like, okay, what is going on here?
So I haven't watched it yet fully. I've watched the first 20 minutes. Mind you, this is the first time I've actually ever, for a lot of people too, this is the first time we've ever actually heard Epstein's voice.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of people, that's been the weird part about it, is we've talked about this guy so fucking much, but nobody realized we've never heard this guy talk.
Yeah.
And when I heard Bannon's voice behind the camera, I was blown the fuck away. I was like, wait the fuck a minute. When did this interview happen? And then that's when all the dominoes started falling for me. I was like, oh my God, that's why Bannon was pushed out completely. That's why he was thrown to the fucking Democrats, because it's like, oh, hey, the Democrats might not realize that he's technically one of their guys. So we're just going to throw him to him, let them fucking gnaw on that a little bit and realize like, oh shit, we just friendly fired. Yep. And it was just like, holy shit. And again, the order of operations when it came to realizing the whole timeline of the Epstein saga, it's like, oh shit, Bannon was the guy on the inside meant to keep tabs on things and make sure the stink persisted rather than actually getting rid of it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, fuck, all right.
Yeah, no, some of us known about Bannon for a while, or at least his connection to Epstein for a while, because of the people like mainstream people like Mink and Kelly talk about it. Like, so it's been there.
Well, and the problem,
hours of footage with Epstein, we only just got the 2-hour snippet.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, it's like when you're sitting there and you're trying to talk to moderates, and that's the thing, is I speak from the moderate position because I am a moderate. I'm a radicalized moderate through and through, but I'm a moderate. And I speak from that position because it's like, these are the people that we truly need to bring into the fold. Mm. They're the people, I always say this, radicals start wars, moderates end them, period. Right. That's how it works. And there are so many people that don't seem to understand that concept, because it's like, hey guys, I'll tell you right now, all of these guys who are like, oh, we're gonna go to war and do this and do that. It's like, Japan, being the radicals in this case, Japan started a war, they didn't finish it. Yeah. It's like, fucking Al-Qaeda started a war, they didn't finish it, et cetera, et cetera. Like, all these different groups, like, they always start some shit. And that's one of the things, me and my guys over on our show over at Warwolf Podcast, we did a episode that was called Moderate Then Annihilate. Because it's like, you need to moderate your position. You need to make sure that you don't give into the bloodlust. And then you need to annihilate your enemy, because they're going to try to kill you. You need to make them die for their country harder.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point, is that at the end of the day, like, a lot of people just don't understand this. This is the problem I have with certain people like Clay Martin and a few of the other more hard right-wing guys that have cropped up over the past few years. I just use Clay Martin specifically because I saw a post of his recently that kind of, it speaks to the same mentality that I speak against. It's like, yeah, you can be as gung-ho as you want, but if you let them, if you fire the first shot, you're the bad guy.
Right.
You are the evil bastard. There's a reason they're using, like in the Epstein case, they are Stoner, I love you. Sorry, I look over the chat. But the point is that at the end of the day, you sit there and it's like, the Epstein files were meant to get us to negatively react in such a way that we would borderline start a genocide. That's what they wanted. Mm. And mind you, the Pizzagate, the kid that was involved in the whole Pizzagate fiasco, I think that was meant to be a false flag connected to this specifically. Because at the end of the day, you notice the language that is injected into the files themselves with all these emails. And again, like, all these emails, they're worded so just absolutely weirdly in a way that it's just like, okay, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not going to give you that one at all. But the point is that I am 100% certain that a lot of language was injected into the files in order to substantiate a connection between Pizzagate and Epstein. And at the end of the day, they want us to commit a genocide, because then they can rally the rest of the world against us. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, We cannot give them that ammunition. You want to save this nation, you have to moderate, then annihilate.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they will have to throw the Hail Mary. You force them to throw the Hail Mary, and then you fucking punch them right in the face so goddamn hard that their ancestors are going to feel
it. Your stoner friend there. I'm just not familiar with Clay Martin, so.
So Martin, yeah. Just to speak specifically on him a little bit, because I've never given him too much credence. When he's paired up with Ian Burlingame, he's decent. Okay. Him and EM and Clay are personal friends.
Okay.
And when they're and he's not a Wignat, he's not an ultranationalist per se. Mm-hmm. It's just he's definitely anti-Roman Catholic. Absolutely.
I'm an Anglican. I'm also anti-Roman Catholic, but
yes, so am I. I'm anti-Roman. I'm not anti-Catholic. I just hate Romans. If anybody worth their soul is going to understand the difference. But yeah, no, he is a flawed character across the board, in my opinion. Like many people that are they feel hurt, they feel betrayed. They feel like that they fought for a system that is completely and utterly fucking depraved. Yeah. And it's just a case of, it's like, Clay, I see you, I understand, and I fucking sympathize. But you got to make I hate to say it like this, but some of our people are going to have to die before we can fucking fire the first shot.
Yeah. Because, I did a podcast on a friend's show last week, and we just got into the history of communism and the British influence on all of that. And I was just like, look, are you the problem is the Trump administration kicked over in Minneapolis is this hardcore communist insurgency that's starting to build in your country, and you're not normies are not prepared to deal with that. And
so that's not so to counter that a little bit, and I understand that mentality. Like, normies aren't ready for the level of violence that's going to be visited upon them. I agree to a point, but here's the problem: is that the conditions are a lot different here in the United States than they were over in Europe. In the case of Russia, most of the regular people, what we call normies nowadays, most of the regular people sat it out completely.
Yeah.
And they suffered greatly because of it. And, they didn't involve themselves because they weren't soldiers at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And, they just weren't prepared for that kind of fighting. But here in the US, it's a vastly different situation because you have such a militaristic society overall. Mm-hmm. It's a vastly different thing where there is not a single fucking person within my circle specifically. And I can tell you, go 3 or 4 circles out in association, and most of the guys are on the same fucking page when it comes to this. We resigned our lives away fucking 10 years ago. Mm. We said, if Hillary Clinton fucking wins this, this is going to get bad. We resigned our fates, period, in the story. Mm. And the clutch that was Donald Trump in that election, it bought us time. And mind you, they had to accelerate the COVID. Like I agree with Tom on this fully, is that they didn't want to roll COVID out in the 2020s. They wanted to roll that out during the 2030s. Mm. And I think we flew that fucking timeline forward a good, decade. And they weren't ready for the fallout that was going to follow that, because now you see all of the responses that have come out from that, where now they have full on lawsuits where some of these pharmaceutical companies, they're going to die.
Yeah.
These lawsuits,
they're going the way of the cigarette companies.
Oh yeah. 100%. And it's going to end up coming down to, they are going to try to do the whole narrative again, as they're currently trying to pull off right now. But the problem is nobody's listening. The only way they're going to be able to pull off another COVID is if they actually use a virus that is actually capable of killing people in mass.
Yeah.
And the problem is then at that point in time, what is that called, ladies and gentlemen? That's called biological warfare.
Yeah.
And you think, I kind of tell people this is COVID was tear gas in World War I.
Yeah. Tear
gas wasn't effective as a killing weapon, but it was a disruptive weapon. And that's why the Germans had such massive advances, because everybody was panicking and freaking the fuck out initially when tear gas became a thing. And then about 6 months later, tear gas lost all effectiveness because everybody was like, it's not going to hurt you. And then they had to roll out chlorine gas in order to be able to actually scare people again.
Yeah.
And that's the point. Is the next time they try to pull this pandemic narrative, it's going to be the chlorine gas equivalent. And it's gonna fucking hurt. But here's the point, is at the end of the day, this is what's so important about us getting away from the WHO. Because if we can isolate ourselves away from the WHO, we're not connected with their bullshit, and we're able to actually respond to any potential biological threats, then all of a sudden the rest of the world's fucked, but we're going to be sitting here and we're going to be ready for that fucking fight. And I can tell you damn well we're sharing that intel with the fucking Russians and the Chinese.
Oh, yeah. No. ARC is a thing. It's clearly, to those of us that are paying attention, that ARC is a thing.
Oh, honestly speaking, Venezuela just proved it was the thing.
Yeah.
Venezuela alone, as a singular event, Venezuela proves that ARC is a thing, because there's no reason why the U.S. would have allowed the Russians and the Chinese to get their assets out had they not been cooperating.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm going to point this out too. There were unconfirmed reports at the time that there were Wagner assets on the ground in Venezuela.
Oh yeah, I mean that's how they stopped them in 2018. During the coup, the last thing they did is the Russians sent in Wagner troops in there to get rid of the other guy, Juan Guaido.
Guaido. But no, here's the fun part about that is the unconfirmed reports inadvertently are being confirmed, because who are the Wagner guys protecting? Or, well, what we're calling Wagner, are they Wagner? Are they not Wagner? The Europeans love that bullshit. Yeah. But the Russians, let's just call them Russians, they were protecting Diaz. Or Rodriguez, sorry, my bad. They were protecting Rodriguez and the other members of the cabinet. Because the Americans bushwhack the Cubans, pull Maduro out. Rodriguez is protected by the Russians. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sorry. Again, at the end of the fucking day, Venezuela as a singular event proves that ARC is a thing. And thus...
all the weapons just happened to be turned off, except for the one guy who didn't get the message.
Oh, well, he was trying to fire an Igla. That was different.
Oh, okay.
So what we suspect happened there was that was one of the Cubans trying to fire off an Igla. Mm-hmm. And he got fucking absolutely emancipated, which was hilarious. Mm-hmm. But no, like at the end of the day, it's like, like the Russians and the Americans and the Chinese did not fucking suffer from the events in Venezuela in any way, shape, or form. And everybody's benefiting.
Yeah.
And the Chinese are, by the way, again, we have this situation in China where the Europeans are screaming, oh my God, there was a military coup. And then in reality, it turns out that, the shit in Venezuela got tied back to Xi's right-hand man. And Xi was like fucking Judas.
Yeah.
And fucking axed his ass.
Yep.
So it's like, oh yeah, like that shows that Xi is interested in working with us. It's just a case of he's got to handle his own shit in his own backyard as much as possible.
Every one of these guys has that kind of thing. Like I was talking to this guy who's more of a normal military industrial guy yesterday, and I'm on this. I don't know if you know what 2A is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mark Halperin, he has this community that's developed on it. They do an after show on the two-way shows. So you get to go on there and meet various people. There's like this crazy Ukrainian guy, military industrial contractor guy, who's right now in Ukraine. Maybe he'll make it, maybe he won't. But there was the other guy who was there, and he was talking, and he was asking, so what do you think is going on? You think he's going to invade Europe? He's like, no. The last thing Vladimir Putin wants is 45 million Roman Catholic Poles in his Eastern Orthodox Empire anymore. We don't think like that anymore, but they do.
Well, so here's just a comment on that. So first and foremost, the Poles are actually getting put in a really weird situation too, because we're seeing so you know how Tom kind of talks about it a little bit, but here's the problem is I don't think he's done a full deep dive into the situation in Italy, the Balkans, Greece, and now that situation has expanded into Poland. Tusk is being cock blocked at every turn by the Polish military.
Oh yeah.
Because
and who did they report to?
Yeah.
They report to the president, who is definitely Donald Trump's guy.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing is that what you're seeing now is that the Visegrad countries, because even Czechoslovakia or let me rephrase, Czech Republic, Czechoslovakia should be a thing. Get over yourselves.
Yeah.
Or okay, let me rephrase again. Bohemia, because fuck you. Anyways. Yeah. Sorry. I love fucking with the Czechs because they're almost as bad as the Poles when it comes to bitching about things. But the point is now we're seeing the anti-EU sentiment pour from the Balkans and Italy and Greece into Poland and the Czech Republic, to the point where now it's like, okay, if we can flip those countries and we can create basically take over the Visegrad countries as a whole and create a demarcation line between the Russians and the rest of the EU, what war are they going to get? A war in the north? What are the Finns going to do?
Yeah.
Hell, there's apparently a lot of discussion within the NATO circles across the board that they're like, why the fuck did we let Finland in? Like, why did we do this? Because Finland is openly trying to goad the Russian troops in Karelia into fighting. They're openly trying to do it.
Yeah. And
it's like first off, you guys are way too freaking close to the nuclear bases for the Russians. They will just mincemeat your asses. Yeah. So good luck. Have fun.
They all think it's still 1939-40. But I got to remind the Finns, you lost that one.
Oh, not only did they lose, here's the fun part. Not only did they lose, but their population has actually dropped from when it was during that time period. If you actually look at it on a adjusted number, their population is actually lower overall percent-wise than it was back then when it comes to actual combat fighting forces.
Yeah.
And when it comes to overall population. The Finns would have to mobilize something like 60 to 70% of their population just to be able to have a chance in standing up in the same way. And by the way, I'm going to say this right fucking now, and I don't care what the Finns have to say. You don't have a hope in fucking hell in surviving long enough for reinforcements to come from the rest of Europe. The Americans aren't coming, bud. If anything, the Americans are going to step in and tell you to shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down.
Yeah, and it's only like a 2-hour drive from Helsinki to St. Petersburg, and there's an 8-lane highway connecting it.
Well, regardless of that, I don't even look at it from that perspective. It's just from the perspective of the Russians just start launching a shit ton of fucking drones and fucking missiles into their country and just black their country out.
Yep.
Oh, that's all you got to do is fucking okay, yeah, start some shit and we'll black out your country. We'll let you die from cholera.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You played yourselves.
Yeah.
But that's the point is that if we can breach the problem in Poland and we can create this demarcation line where we fully separate the European powers, quote unquote, from Russia physically, then what the fuck are they going to do?
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, no, it looks pretty good for the right wing parties. The Tusk is he's got to call an election next year, or I guess the president will call it the election and dissolve parliament. And then we got these weird, like the Restore the Crown Party and other ones out there that are polling at between the two of them at 20%. Who knows where they'll be in a year?
Oh yeah, no, that's the thing is that like a lot of people seem to have this idea that no matter what, they're going to be able to secure some sort of favorable position. You know, that's the best way I can put it. Where they can force the United States to remain in Europe, to do this, to do that, and so on and so forth. And that's why they're hedging on the 2026, 2028 elections.
Yeah.
And the problem is, and I'm going to say this right fucking now, the 2026 election, I don't think it's going to happen. I think the SAVE Act is going to get passed at this point in time because I think that they're just going to be forced to fucking put it in. And then California, Oregon, Washington, Minnesota, New York, all the other New England city states, because they're city states at the end of the day, they're not fucking
pretty much
states. They're going to put that they're going to put all the roadblocks in to prevent that shit from getting implemented in their states. And then it's going to be like, okay, well, we're suspending the election until you guys get in line with the rest of the fucking nation. And then at that point in time, they're gonna have to throw the Hail Mary at that point in time. Like I do not believe that they are actually going to allow this next election to fucking go forward, because if these other states are not conforming to federal election law when it comes to federal elections, then why should there be a federal election that includes them?
Right.
Which then, if we carry forward with an election that disallows them from being participants, then they're going to have to throw the Hail Mary anyways.
Yeah. You did have your election during your Civil War. So.
Oh, yeah. No, that's the thing is, like, at the end of the day, you know, it's going to be one or the other. And I think it's going to be the latter, where we, you know, okay, we're holding an election. You're not allowed to participate. Oh, by the way, your representatives and your senators that are up, they're not allowed to rejoin Congress.
Yeah.
They're not allowed. And then at that point in time, what do? That's why they're trying to gerrymander as hard as they are too. I think they're preparing for that. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to get as much of the leadership in their states individually under their umbrella as possible to then prepare for the secession movement that they're inadvertently going to create because, you know, they refuse to implement the SAVE Act.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, so we haven't really touched too much about the Pizzagate. Did we want to get into that or leave that to other people?
Honestly speaking, dude, I don't give a fuck about it.
Okay.
Because, well, okay, so let me just give this small opinion. At the end of the day, when I saw what was being played up by the Democrats, how the switch happened, just like how the switch happened with COVID, and we won't take the Trump shot. Oh, hey, you have to take this shot or you're, you know, banished from society.
Right.
You know, and then we see, you know, we go back, you know, Susan Kokinda did a fucking great breakdown over at Promethean Action, where she actually gives the layout of how the Epstein files don't fucking matter when it comes to these people, because these people are going to get thrown out of office anyways, because these people are just going to be like, you did what? No, the fact that it laid out the connection between Epstein and 2008. And it's like, oh my God, that 2008 was an intelligence operation. It wasn't a goddamn fucking economic crisis. It was a fucking intel op. So the whole Pizzagate thing and the overarching Epstein bullshit, I don't give a fuck about it. Because it's like, okay, you know what? There's going to be some motherfuckers that leave office and disappear from society. There are going to be some motherfuckers that get dragged out of their offices and fucking lynched.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about that. I care about the fact that we now have definitive fucking connections between Epstein and 2008. Like, I'm sorry, if we're not gonna talk about that shit, I don't give a fuck at this point. This is also why, hey, guess what? Everybody, just letting you know, and this is a friendly reminder for everybody. What you do on your local level and state level is more important than what the fuck is going on a federal level. Because at the end of the day, if your state has the capability to stand on its own and actually sustain itself, everybody else can go get bit.
Yeah. No, that's what's happening here in Ontario. I was just at my equivalent of a state convention, and our premier, who doesn't like Donald Trump at all, gave them one of the most Trumpiest speech I've ever heard from a Canadian politician. And
that's Ford, right?
Yeah, that's Doug Ford. Yeah, and he is very much he and Trump are so alike. They're both teetotalers. They're both well, in Ford's case, he married a Baptist, so so all his days when he was young, drinking and doing drugs. No, his wife won't tolerate that crap. But so he's pointed out, or his plan is to build nuclear power plants till the cows come home. And in Canada, you don't need we have no nuclear regulatory commission at the federal level. So he doesn't need permission from Ottawa to build stuff inside. None of the provinces need permission to build anything inside their provinces from the feds.
Yeah.
So he has the first small modular reactor, and this is a plan that he's been doing for the last 10 years, along with a bunch of Western premiers. And so they're building the first small modular reactor. The plan is to build 114 across the country. That was our green energy deal. So we're just going to build nukes and nukes and nukes. And I can tell you here in Canada, Ontario, like 70% of the grid is already nuclear. And they put it, when they built them, they put them in swing ridings. So all parties, if you want to be form government in Ontario, you have to be pro-nuclear. So we have never had this green energy movement of dismantling the nukes in Ontario like other places. And, we're just going to feed power to the United States. Oh, and guess the other thing he decided he wanted to build.
Let me guess. Fuel refinery.
No, not a fuel refinery, but it is a refinery. He's going to build a rare earth refinery in Canada.
Oh, okay. So I can tell you this right now. First and foremost, Canada's fucked, generally speaking, anyways.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna be taking chunks of Canada. But what that is, and I'll tell you this for nothing. What is going to happen is that you're going to have an integration of Canada into the American fold in a way that it's like, hey, Canada. Hey, England. Hey, Australia. Hey, New Zealand. All you guys. We're now the leaders. The king can have his fucking throne and everything, but we're now the ones leading the pack, period, in the story. And what that is that's, I'm just going to point out, like, everybody is like, oh, Canada, Tom has mentioned how they want to use Canada to attack the United States directly, kinetically.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's cute. Problem. We just follow the Russian example. Oh, wait. The Russian example is actually what the US does. Mm-hmm. We fucking bomb everything. Mm-hmm. Fuck your infrastructure, fuck your roads, fuck your bridges, fuck your power plants, fuck your goddamn everything. We just fucking take it offline and then we move in. Like, Canada at this point in time, like, putting stuff in Canada is literally putting it within range of our weaponry.
Yeah.
So if at the end of the day, it's like, all of those kind of moves that they're making in Canada are definitely for Canada. And I think from my perspective, it's an admission of we can't fight the US and we need to get ourselves back into solvency because we're going to lose these guys over here.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing is Danielle Smith, I don't think that Danielle Smith is going to retain her office. I think she's going to get kicked out by the Albertan separatists.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. The problem I see with Alberta is the fact that they brought in a couple million Indians into Alberta.
Oh, yeah. You got that problem. But again, I don't think that I think that Alberta is going to end up similar to how we had with Texas, is that Alberta is going to have a conflict of sorts. There's going to be a massacre of sorts. And then the U.S. is going to roll in and they're going to fucking put the hammer down and tell Canada, hey, get fucked. These are our people. Because again, I'm going to point this out. Like everybody, everybody likes to call the Poles snow Mexicans or snow Texans. Sorry. No, the snow Texans are the Albertans.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, genetically speaking, the Albertans have more in genetic lineage with the United States than they do with the Old World.
Yeah.
There's a lot more Native American in that blood than a lot of Europeans like to acknowledge. Oh, by the way, that's one of the reasons why they discriminate against Albertans the way they do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. They called the people who run Ottawa call everywhere but Ontario and Quebec the regions.
Yep.
And as I told Tom once, basically, they only recently recognized Alberta as the foreigners at the table when Stephen Harper got elected. That was kind of the first time they actually had to let people from Alberta a seat at the table.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, again, you have a similar mentality with the elites here with, the quote unquote flyover states. It's like, hey, by the way, the flyover states are what they're what give you your killing power. Ohio is one of the, like, per capita, Ohio has one of the largest military veterancy rates in the entire fucking country.
Yeah.
For example, Ohio has so much capability wrapped up in its population. It's unfucking real. And by the way, industrially speaking, we have a massive amount of capability. There's a reason why. And I'll point and a lot of people, they're like, oh, workforces. I've actually looked into this a little bit. And for example, Lordstown Motors. Lordstown shut down like 10, 15 years ago, or 20, closer to 20 years ago. And then it reopened a few years back. The team of guys that they brought in to restart Lordstown Motors and train the new workforce, they were all veterans of Lordstown Motors. They knew all the quirks. They knew all the ins and outs of the building. It got to the point. Hey, sorry. Give me a second. I got a baby getting tossed into my arms.
She demands your attention.
Hi, baby girl. But the point is that that's the thing is, like, here in Ohio, there's a lot of capability within the population where we can, like, for example, Strasbourg, you can fucking, they restarted that steel mill using the people that already worked there. And then they brought in a bunch of people from the surrounding areas, gave people some amazing paying jobs. Like, everybody's making 30 plus an hour.
Yep.
And all of a sudden they got that fucking mill back up and running after it had been shut down for 20 years.
All right.
And that's the whole point, is at the end of the day, you have this capability within Ohio, and that capability exists across many places across the Americas. It's just, we need the infrastructure to actually put the people to fucking work.
Yeah.
And in the case of Alberta, it's the same fucking thing. In the case of fucking, the Yukon territories, like, look at hold on, bud. You take over for a minute.
Oh yeah, sure. No, industrialized wise, well, what's one of the other things that Doug Ford went into talking about was he's going to build a highway to the Ring of Fire. And for those who don't understand what the Ring of Fire is, it's all this inestimable gold and silver and iron and aluminum and nickel that is being that is Northern Ontario, that is being very difficult historically to get access to, and a lot of people have just not had the political capital to do it. Or fact is, the Liberals were running things forever, and they had no interest, of course, in exploiting stuff like this. Ford does have that kind of reason, and he has, like, the fact is, the opposition here is so divided and weak. He has no enemies, and he has a clear up to 5-year, but probably 4-year mandate just to get things done and built. And he's building like there's no tomorrow. Hospitals, highways. He's basically the John Kasich equivalent of Ontario, and it has been just a great thing to see.
I love the fact that you brought up Kasich.
Yeah. Well, when I was going to Origins, this gaming convention for years, during when Kasich was in charge, and the highways were always under construction or getting better.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is, like, you see that across the board. Now, me personally, I'm not a big fan of Kasich.
Oh, not his politics now that he's a Democrat either.
No,
But
because
what he did for Ohio was pretty good.
No, the problem with Kasich is that he did a lot of hinky shit with taxes. There was a lot of tax stuff that he did. And the fact that he hasn't been drawn up on misappropriation charges is actually really surprising to me. But it is Columbus, so Columbus will protect Columbus. But the fact of the matter is yes, you are absolutely correct. Like the amount of improvements, like for example, I'll use Akron, Ohio for this example. You have the 76 271 interchange. Or no, not 271. Route 8, sorry. 7776. You have that interchange there, which that interchange, like I remember as a kid, you know, I vaguely remember around the time I was like 7 or 8. I'm 30, by the way, turning 31. Around the time I was 7 or 8, the Barberton exit shut down. And it was forever before they started the construction on that. Kasich fucking just bulldozed the red tape when it came to that interchange. And they got that interchange. That interchange is now up and running. And there's only one real flaw with it. The exit going from downtown Akron to get onto the Cuyahoga Falls exit to get onto 77.
Yeah,
that's a little bit of a rough transition because you have to jump 3 freaking lanes in order to get over as quickly as possible. It's like that's a little brutal. But that the fact is yes, absolutely. And again, the fact that we again, you have a population that is capable, and in Alberta, the population is even more capable because they have the recent memory, the recent history, even though they've tried desperately, you know, the Liberals have been trying desperately in Canada to kill Alberta. Yeah. They still have that skill set. And now it's like, oh, you're trying to really just put the knife between our ribs. Yeah. Guess what? Fuck you. We're going to fucking end your ass. And that's why, again, I don't see Danielle Smith retaining power unless she agrees, and we'll see at Cornerstone, because Cornerstone, if you heard, she is confirmed for Cornerstone this year.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so unless she agrees in Calgary that, yes, we are going to allow the referendum.
The legislation has already passed. They cut in half the requirement for the numbers. So it used to be you'd need about 500,000 people, like 20% of the population, to sign the petition. They cut it down to half, to 10% of the population. And some judge tried to say this is unconstitutional. So they passed legislation, because Parliament is supreme in British systems, to See, we don't care if it might not pass constitutional scrutiny. We get to write the Constitution around here.
Yeah, well, the fact of the matter is, again, my eyes are on figuring out whether or not Danielle Smith has the wherewithal to actually follow through.
Mhm.
And
Oh, yeah.
if she does, then at that point in time she'll retain power. If she does not follow through, she will not retain power, and then we're going to see an Alamo.
Yeah, I think she's doing what the British Prime Minister should have done during the Brexit referendum, David Cameron. No, she's trying not to pick sides. She's saying, if this happens, I'm going to let it run, but I'm not trying to be pro.
Okay, yeah, no, I absolutely. You know what? I will give you that. I will give you that, definitely. Yeah. But at this, again, my point is that it's like, hey, when you have private citizens meeting with a foreign government, and they are meeting consistently, you know damn well that there's a movement that you cannot stop.
Right.
And that's one thing that I've heard rumors, and I haven't been able to confirm anything, but I've heard rumors that groups within. Sorry, my daughter started choking a little bit there. She just got overly excited. She was like, "Ooh, Baba." But yeah, no. The fact of the matter is that there's rumors going around that certain groups within Canada are trying to now go after the people that are meeting with the U.S. And now it's gotten to the point where it's like we're starting to see similar things happen here, where you have Antifa going after elected officials, going after private citizens. There's a not so inconspicuous bounty that Antifa has put on the head of Nick Shirley, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So, there's going to be some fun to be had for sure. When it comes to this.
Yeah. I was getting back to my podcast with my friend of mine last week, and when we were talking about the situation in Minnesota, and I was just like, Americans are not ready for what you need to deal with. And she's like, what do you mean? Are you willing to put tens of thousands of people in re-education camps? She's like, nope. And I'm like, so this is just going to escalate.
Well, okay. So to speak on that specifically, yes, you are absolutely correct. But also at the same time, you've got the radicalized moderates like me who have started to make the realization, again, me and my fellows, we consigned our fates away 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And now we're realizing like we had a 10-year fucking gap between when the war should have started and when it is going to start. And that's a good thing for us, because like I can tell you, I'm in a better position now than I was back then. And the overall sentiment across the board is in a better position. The problem is that the one problem we had is that Donald Trump winning put the anxiety of a lot of moderates to ease. And so that's the issue. EM did his talk about how, they're willing to sacrifice 4% of the population of a nation in order to achieve their goals. It's like, for people like me, it's like I'm willing to sacrifice 10%. And what I don't think they're counting on, and I honestly do believe this. I do not believe that they are counting on the fact that there can be an armed response that is in a way against them without being technically the first shot fired. Because at the end of the day, we just got the rumors that started floating that the Democrats are considering running Kamala Harris and AOC as the 2028 ticket. And those rumors started circulating, and the liberals themselves immediately fucking started trashing it.
Good.
And mind you, that rumor was not meant for the rightoids. Any rightoid at all that takes that rumor seriously, that person needs to be disregarded and completely ignored going into the future. That was meant for the liberals. That was meant to gauge the response of the liberals. Because here's the problem is, who the fuck do you run? Like, the Democrats don't have anybody. Gavin Newsom is fucking radioactive at this point in time.
Yeah, like just run the commercials of him at the French Laundry all over the Midwest.
No, Palisades. Because here's the thing is that so here's the thing is the response to East Palestine, because a lot of people might not realize this, but the East Palestine disaster, fucking a lot of people across the Midwest talk about it.
They should. It was a WMD attack.
Yeah, effectively, yes. But the thing is at the end of the day, like we're talking about the potential. A lot of people, they're like, oh, the feds. It's like, yeah, but here's the problem is that we know that there are elements within the feds. There are rogue elements, which are on our side. And then there are the non-rogue elements who are on the liberal side.
Yep.
And, the way that these agents have been acting in East Palestine gives me the indication that these are not rogue elements. These are the establishment elements. And so it's like, okay, did they fucking light that shit on fire on purpose? And that seems to be the indications that we're getting at this point in time.
Yeah.
Then you look at Palisades and same shit.
Yep.
The Palisades fire should have been handled and done within 12 months.
Yep.
You should have expedited the permitting process. You should have expedited insurance. You should have done this. You should have done that. And now that the federal government has had to step in to provide oversight on the process because the state failed so spectacularly in their responsibilities. I will also note how Hawaii is getting the same treatment.
Yeah. We often forget about that particular fire.
So we are now seeing where the federal government is going in and cleaning up the fucking problems of these particular states. And Gavin Newsom he's getting railed for Palisades. Like Peter Santinello did a video about the Palisades fire.
I haven't seen anything from him in a while.
Oh yeah, no, I love Peter. He did a video on the Palisades fire and on the cleanup and on the reconstruction. And when he was going through, if I remember correctly, there was only about 5 houses being rebuilt. There were houses that were getting cleaned out that survived. But the problem is that the clean out was being stalled because of insurance. There was a family, for example, who cannot return to their house until they get a certification that the cleanup has happened. Their house is perfectly fine. And this is another thing is like, hey, include as many trees on your property as possible if you are in a high chance wildfire zone, by the way. Because this literally their property, the fire literally the heavy vegetation on their property and the fact that vegetation retains water so well, it acted as a fire break and saved their property completely. Like there's no damage on their property. That's how miraculously it is. So yeah, cedar trees and a few other things, but put them on your property. They're great. But the point is at the end of the day, the states failed here. Fucking put that in front of every goddamn fucking Midwest voter, and they'll be like, "Oh hell no, this Gavin Newsom guy is he's a fucking cunt."
Yeah.
So yeah, Newsom's too radioactive. AOC, like at this point in time, we have seen what happens when they run somebody with a female. They can manage it, but the problem is that at the end of the day, I do not believe the U.S. has at all the perception that a female president would be a good idea. Because we saw how fucking hard Kamala Harris got trounced in the last election. So, who are you going to run? You have your incumbent, quote unquote incumbent, and then you have 2 really, really poor decisions. Because again, Newsom's radioactive, and people think AOC is retarded.
Yeah.
So, what's the pick here? Who do you got?
My favorite is Rahm Emanuel, and I'm shocked to have to say that.
Who?
He was Obama's chief of staff, and he was mayor of Chicago. But Peter Centinela, ironically, did a video in Chicago, and everyone said like Rahm was actually pretty pro-police, to the point that he cut in half his police security, because the mayor of Chicago has a certain amount of security around him. He cut it in half so more cops could go on the street and serve crime. And then the woman that came after him doubled the size so she could pull more cops off the street.
Oh, sounds about right. Yeah. But at the end of the day, the point is that, and I'll tell you this right now, Midwest, you put somebody from Chicago on the ball, he ain't getting fucking voted in the Midwest.
Yeah, no. He's just kind of like, he's this kind of sane Democrat I think the Democrats need again. But he'd be like Shapiro, who can't do it because he's too Jewish in a party that now hates Jews.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is, like, I've told people this multiple times. It's like what we're going to end up seeing, and this is my personal perception on it, is we're going to end up seeing Vance and Gabbard. I think Gabbard is going to be the pick, simply because at this point in time, if the Republicans show a willingness to put a female in, and people having seen her effectiveness as DNI. You know, more people are more likely to be like, no. She's way too fucking good at her job. Do not fucking pick her. Like, I think that's the most likely.
I think she's running. I think she's running to be the nominee. You watch her speech at Turning Point USA. I was like, that's a campaign speech.
So that's another thing that somebody floated is that, and I was having this discussion with a buddy of mine. He was like, hey, what's your idea on if you invert it, Gabbard, Vance? And I immediately was like, fuck. Like, I do give credence to that concept. I do.
Yeah, because I think
here's the problem with Vance, and it's the only problem with Vance, is that Vance is considered untested. Sorry. He's considered untested. But I also point out to people that I'm sorry, but he is I wonder, the fucking Marine that wrote a book that ended up fucking swinging the suburban white woman vote into Republican favor.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, he isn't the normal vice president that spends his day jacking off in the middle of the fucking Naval Observatory. He's actually basically our chief diplomat.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of people have this idea that Vance is completely unqualified to be president. I'm like, you're fucking retarded.
He's more qualified than Barack Obama.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Hey, give me 30 seconds. I got to handle the little one.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So, yeah, like I said, I love how people are like, Hillary Clinton was the most qualified person to be president of the United States. And I'm like, no, she's not. Clearly the most, by qualifications, the most qualified president ever was George H.W. Bush, you know, former RNC chair, 3-term congressman, ambassador to China, head of the CIA, vice president for 8 years. That was basically the best resume any president has ever had, compared to so many other people out there. So just the idea that people throw out these narratives and you're just like, come on, guys, I can dismiss that in 2 seconds. Well, at least 30 seconds. But, I mean, he was also a deep state actor. I mean, he's the head of the CIA, right? Yeah, but I do think so. I think I see it happening more this way. Tulsi or Vance runs. Vance will probably win, but Tulsi would be the natural DP ticket. And then, you know, after Vance leaves, Tulsi can be the next continuation, and we have this kind of thing. That being said, depending on how these midterms go, will Vance run That's my understanding from having my contact on the inside of the Trump administration, or more importantly, in the Vance wing, is that basically he's hedging his decision on how well the Republicans perform in the midterms. And it makes very much sense to me because despite what we're talking about today, more normie perspective is that the Republicans are on their way to getting trounced in the midterms because they have not been very effective at spreading their message and seeming to be too focused on the foreign concepts, not because most normal people don't understand the implications of all the foreign policy stuff that we like to talk here on this channel and get into all the weeds on why we had to go to Venezuela to get the information we needed to do the stuff. Now we had to shut down all these foreign conflicts first, and it seemed like Trump cared more about handling the rest of the country or the rest of the planet instead of being focused on the home front. And a lot of it is just people not being able to go out and explaining. And people saw the vice president on Megyn Kelly, where she basically says that to him. And, you had Howard Lutnick on the, which podcast again he was on. Anyways, he was talking about the trade policy and tariff deals that were going down and how that was going to enrich the United States. We've had other things like that where we've been talking about the rest of the world going, sorry, should get a glass of water when he gets back. So,
yeah, I just got back a couple of minutes
ago.
I'm
getting a glass of water.
Well, and just to comment on what you were saying there, at the end of the day, one of the things that I'm 100% tuned into is the fact that people don't understand that they can just look shit up. You look at the you go to the Minnesota district attorney's site, go to his portal. They were prosecuting people almost immediately. Like everybody is like, oh, they're not doing anything in Minnesota, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, motherfucker, like they literally just fucking indicted fucking 6 people. One dude took a goddamn fucking plea deal as fast as he fucking could. Like, I'm sorry. But when the nothing ever happens crowd comes out, I laugh and then proceed to start pulling receipts, and they get very mad and very upsetty because they all of a sudden, something happened.
Yeah.
And then they have to try to reconcile that with their narrative, and they can't, and now they're fucking pissing and shitting themselves.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, me personally, I sit here and I'm just like, you know what, you guys, you don't pay attention. Like here in Ohio, you have Ohio Intel 1 that's under construction.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yo, bros, you do realize that when that thing comes online, like there's going to be so many fucking people in Columbus that are working at that bitch.
Yeah.
There's going to be so many fucking people that are going to be sitting there like, holy shit, like we can be making fucking $35, $40, $50 an hour.
Yep.
Like, I'm sorry, but if you can't be bothered to do the research and actually understand what is happening on a domestic level, like that's your own problem. That's not our fault. That's your fault. And again, the international news is always going to grab headlines. It's always going to grab headlines. And anybody who tries to be like, oh, Trump is too focused internationally, he needs to focus on here home. It's like, motherfucker, he can do multiple things at once. He's got a fucking million-man army of bureaucrats under him.
Right.
Now, half of those motherfuckers might be traitorous little shitheads, but he can fucking do a lot of shit with the other half.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's a laughable narrative that, yet again, these are the same people that would probably be like, oh, Zijos. Same group of people.
Sorry, which group of people you cut out there for a second?
Oh, I said it would be the same group of people that'd be like Zijos.
Oh, yes.
Same group. Every time.
Yeah. Too many It's like, it's just gets frustrating sometimes being the one of the people that sees beyond the first narrative level and then having to go and deal with people who are still in the last narrative level.
Well, yeah, that is, when most people can see first and second order effects, but once it comes to third, fourth, and fifth order effects, they're completely lost in the sauce. Being somebody, in my case, I can see third and fourth pretty well. The fifth order effects, that's when I kind of am like, okay, I can see where this might be, but I need some confirmation on some things.
Yeah.
That's usually where I'm at. Am I the best at giving an analysis on something? No. Can I give a half decent analysis? Yes. But at the end of the day, there are certain details that I'm like, okay, I need confirmation on this before I know this for certain.
Yeah.
And it's the difference between people that don't pay attention at all, do pay attention a little bit, pay attention a lot, and then are actual fucking experts on something.
Yep, and I've had conversations with some people. It's more Israel than the Jews, but I'm like, guys, you got to understand why you were so entwined with Israel is because the Suez Canal and how important that is to control both sides of that particular piece of real estate, and you give almost the same amount of money to Egypt, but you don't care about Egypt because Egypt doesn't go to war with its neighbors every 6 months.
Well, and here's the fun part for this in my case is me. I sit down and I actually run the fucking numbers. Israel on a economic basis, provides about the conservative number is 3, but if you actually run the numbers, it's about $6 for every dollar that we give them. We get $6 out of them. When it comes to technology that they develop or shit they do for us or whatever, we get a lot of economic value out of Israel. And so it's like, yeah, you dumb motherfuckers. Of course they have, of course the fucking city of fucking Timbuktu in the middle of fucking Nebraska has a contract with a fucking Israeli company. Oh, by the way, the Israeli company in question is the one that runs the IT shit for the fucking servers that run the city.
Yeah.
It's like, come the fuck on. Like, are we being serious here? And that's the problem is that, these dumbass fucking spurgs that will immediately jump at every mention of a Jew. And then it's just like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Here we go again. Somebody get the straight jacket.
Yeah.
It's so stupid and annoying.
Yeah. Okay. Have you ever heard, on a bit of a side note, have you ever heard of the War of the Triple Alliance?
War of the Triple Alliance. Fuck.
It's a pretty obscure war. But it's the war that happened in the 1870s in South America.
Oh, yeah. It's Bolivia, Paraguay, and Argentina and all of them. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, you were just saying about 4%, and you're giving away 10%, and the Paraguayans lose like 78%.
Yeah.
Holy crap! You South Americans, you don't go to war often, but when you do, you kill everybody.
Oh well, yeah. When you're fighting absolute. Which nation was it that fucking they actually inadvertently turned their allies against them because of how fucking brutal they were being?
Yeah, I think it's either Paraguay or Uruguay. I can't remember which one it is.
I think it might have been Paraguay.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they were being so brutal in their methodology that ended up turning their fucking allies. And that's a perfect example of this. It's actually a really good fucking example that I should reference more, actually.
Yeah.
But it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, if I see guys like on a personal basis, because me and my guys, we we're currently working on a few things. But like all of our shit when it comes to our operational side is above board. Like, we're tied in with, like, I'm currently looking to get CERT training and a few other things. I've got a couple guys that are currently applying to become volunteer firefighters. I'm also going to end up getting tied in with with local police forces because of certain job things that I do, so on and so forth. So all of our operational stuff, is a way above board compared to a lot of the other people that are within the sphere that I occupy. And it's like, if I see some guys who are ostensibly on my side who are doing some hinky fucking shit, it's like, I'm sorry guys, but you're either being taken into custody or you're being put down. And that's the problem, is like this is, again, moderate then annihilate. You cannot do the whole annihilation thing and think that people are just going to side with you because you're on the quote unquote right side. It's like, no.
Yeah, you don't want to end up like John Brown.
Oh God. Oh fuck. Oh. All right. I got a little bit of a rant to do about him. So of course, John Brown Gun Club and Socialist Rifle Association deployed to Minneapolis. They put.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of a different John Brown.
I'm thinking John Brown as in the guy who went around murdering people because he thought he was on the good guy's side, but it's like, dude, you're going around murdering people.
Yeah.
But no. So they did a deployment to Minneapolis. And they put like 20, 30 guys in. But the problem was a bunch of their like senior leaders were there to coordinate and organize. And then they got ID'd as part of the whole signal gate bullshit. And then they immediately fucking bailed because all of a sudden, like we got positive ID on some of these people. And once PID was established, they were like, shit, I'm in danger. I need to leave now. Because it turns out like one of the senior guys in John Brown Gun Club, he's got a fucking rap sheet the size of a goddamn fucking, encyclopedia. He's got outstanding warrants and shit like that. Like at the end of the fucking day, like these idiots, that are continuously participating in dumb shit, and it is dumb shit. It's like, oh yeah, no, please make yourself known, put yourself out in the open. We'll handle you.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking the original John Brown. That's
Oh yeah, no, he was just a fucking. At the end of the day, and mind you, I've done my fucking reading. I know exactly what kind of man he was. He was a fucking sadist. Like at the end of the day, he was a straight up sadist. Like the dude literally, like, mind you, Cassius Clay, he beat the shit out of everybody. Never killed anybody. He did kill some people, but that was after they attacked him. Yeah. But he beat the shit out of people. He didn't kill many people. He beat the utter living lights out of people. And he made it very well known that, fuck you, you're a dirtbag. John Brown is just fucking taking scalps.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, no, be Cassius Clay, don't be John Brown. Because once you get to John Brown levels, then at that point in time, we're going to fucking hang your ass. And we're not going to feel sorry for it. So, no fucking, takesy backsies, motherfuckers. It's everybody who idolizes him. Notice, actually, funny enough, if you actually look into it a little bit, you'll notice that a bunch of people who idolize John Brown also idolize MacArthur.
Yep. Oh, really?
Yeah. There's an innate connection between those two. It's kind of weird.
Oh, yeah, because I wouldn't really thought that much about MacArthur. I actually think he's one of the best American generals of World War II at the strategic level. But
no. Actually, frankly speaking, he's actually one of the worst.
Okay. Why would you say that?
Okay, so first and foremost, he was. So they scrapped. I forget what the war plan was originally called, but they scrapped the war plan where the pullback to Bhutan was supposed to happen.
Oh yeah. I remember all the stuff in the Philippines where he is a screw up. I'm fully okay with giving the full Philippines fiasco, but afterwards is where I usually give.
Well, that's the problem, is that he gets a lot of credit for what other generals did. Like, for example, Tarawa and a few of the other major battles where MacArthur, doesn't really. He's not really there. He's not really in the planning. He's aware of things, but it's the people under him that are truly running the whole thing. MacArthur literally, like almost across the board, he is so hands off with it. It's unfucking real.
Okay.
And then as you get to Korea, that's when you get to see MacArthur planning stuff.
Yeah.
And then you notice how many fuck ups there were. And then you start to realize, like, oh, MacArthur failed in the Philippines. MacArthur went hands off afterwards so that he didn't get any fucking shit on his hands. And then he went hands on again in Korea and then cocked that up majorly as well.
Yeah.
I personally, I view MacArthur in a very negative light because of it, just his overall bullshit. And again, this is the same guy that got, he got ordered to leave his men behind to save himself. And he follows that order. But then when he gets told, don't approach the Yalu River and provoke the Chinese, he approaches the Yalu River and provokes the fucking Chinese.
Right.
And it's like, you're a fucking dipshit.
Yeah.
You're just a fucking dipshit. So yeah, no, the simple fact is, again, I've seen an innate connection between people who think John Brown was a great man and they think that MacArthur was a great man.
Okay.
I've seen that innate connection, and it's one of the weirdest fucking connections I've ever seen. And mind you, most of those people also hate George Patton.
Oh, okay.
It's weird. And it's like, oh, so you don't like the motherfuckers that actually did the work.
Right.
You don't like the because here's the thing with John Brown, and this is what I've started to realize. So you had the abolitionist movement, then you had the emancipationist movement.
Mm-hmm.
So my overall politics and sentiments would have put me in the emancipationist movement, where it was the slow roll towards emancipating the slaves and getting rid of slavery as a whole, just through the natural progression of time.
Right.
Mind you, this was the same group of people that had gotten legacy slavery put into place and had ended the transatlantic slave trade, by the way. So, everybody likes to bitch and whine and cry. Abolition was the only way. And it's like, there was another route, and you guys just don't like it because the abolitionists didn't get the fucking win when it came to the transatlantic slave trade. We did. Fuck you.
Yeah.
But the point is what you end up having is that because of, the connection that we have with the abolitionist movement to the Europeans, and then follow on from there to the Civil War, it's like, oh, John Brown was a fucking tool of the Europeans. Whether he knew it or not, he was a tool of the Europeans, and he served to actually increase the suffering of the black population in this nation for years to come. Because had the emancipationist movement continued, more than likely a lot of the blacks would, a lot of people don't realize this. A lot of the blacks would have returned to fucking Africa. By the way, that's what fucking happened in a large drove of them. And then on top of that, you would have had people been like, oh, hey, we can go ahead and fucking, let these people exist and just do their thing. And, so on and so forth. In the case of the southern states, those motherfuckers probably would have just been like, hey, you can't stay here. And then it's like, oh, hey, the southern states would have had much, much lower populations for years to come. And then at that point in time, they would have been sidelined anyways. But no, we got to start a civil war, and we got to do this, and we got to do that. We have to get rid of slavery now. Right. It's like, oh, okay, we see who you work for. Good job. You outed yourselves. Played yourselves, nerds.
Yeah, I as Europhile, I would be a Monty fan, but I know a lot of Americans don't like him.
Monty?
Yeah.
Oh, Montgomery?
Yep.
Ew. Eh, Ew.
It's either him or Alexander.
Oh, God.
Look,
No.
he never retreats. He uses the maximum of firepower to get through as much as possible to keep his casualties down as much as possible.
Yeah, because they okay, yeah, sure. But here's the fucking problem is that Montgomery. So there's actually there was actually some declassifications that happened recently that actually revealed that Eisenhower came to a realization later, after fuck, was it Operation Market Garden or was it before Operation Market Garden? I don't remember. But it was either after or before Market Garden. But basically Eisenhower deprioritized Montgomery because prior to that, he had been forced to prioritize Montgomery on all accounts. But Patton, even though he was not prioritized in any way, shape, or form, was still one of the highest performing generals out of the entirety of the war. You combine fucking Patton with fucking Omar Bradley, Terry Allen, and a few of the others, Roosevelt and so on and so forth. That was the core of the most important men in the entire war, right there. Yeah. Montgomery doesn't even fucking rank on them at this point in time when it comes to actual overall performance. And what you end up having as a result of that was when Eisenhower, and this is what was revealed in the declassifications, was Eisenhower decided to prioritize Patton for a little bit and realize that the Germans are going to throw fucking everything at Patton because they're scared shitless of him. They're terrified of this guy. And so they're putting forces in place to deflect Patton as hard as possible. What happens if we just fucking hit them and annihilate their war machine? Because at that point in time, Montgomery was incapable of actually getting a pitched battle out of the Germans. That slow, methodical advance bullshit. Yeah, it's great when the fucking enemy doesn't give you the ability of a pitched battle. And mind you, who was the one at risk of being surrounded and destroyed during the Battle of the Bulge? Oh, that's right. It was Montgomery. And that's the point, is that it had everything played out the way it should have played out if Eisenhower hadn't reprioritized Patton. Montgomery would have been cut off and destroyed in the lowlands. Whereas,
the more important thing is just don't do Market Garden.
Well,
the thing to do is that 15th Army is, the army that was guarding Marseille is in retreat at that time. They could have driven to the Swiss border and cut them off completely, and the Germans would have been down another couple 100,000 men.
Well, so here's the problem is that and I will comment specifically on Marseille. Marseille was actually a really bad idea. The Vichy government, because shit, I forget the general's name. The guy who actually affected the French surrender to the Germans. Pétain, yeah. Pétain had been basically sidelined at this point in time. He had been completely sidelined. And the radicals within the Vichy government, this is one of the reasons why the Republicans were able to be like, see, Pétain is a traitor, blah 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 blah, even though he wasn't. De Gaulle is just a fucking piece of shit. Mm-hmm. But the point is that had they tried to land at Marseille, like, it would have been a bloodbath.
Well, no, they didn't land at Marseille, but they did do I was talking about when they did the southern landing is what I meant by Marseille.
No. That's my point, is that, Operation Husky.
Yeah. No. That was earlier. That was.
Are you referring to? You're referring to in 44, 45. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So you're going forward.
Husky,
okay. I was about to say, I'm like, yeah, no. Operation Husky was the safe one. That was the safe bet. I was like, no, because there was an operational plan to potentially land at Marseille
Yeah.
on the mainland, and
No.
ended up.
It's I'm referring to when that landing happens, the Germans start retreating north, and if you don't do Market Garden, but you actually drive to the Swiss border, you cut that force from retreating.
Oh yeah, well again, Market.
It would have been much bigger.
Do you know? Well,
either group could have done it.
Well, yeah, well that's the thing. That was during the time period when Montgomery was being prioritized over Patton. Yeah. Because Patton would have been able to fucking do it had he had the fucking fuel and the ammunition.
Right.
And that's the thing is what saved
tell Monty to clear up the shelf a couple of months earlier and save my great uncle's life. Well, actually, he died a month after. He died during con, so that's a different thing.
But that's the thing though, is that what you end up having with the situation in the Battle of the Bulge is the only thing that saved and this is what we end up seeing from the declassifications, is the only thing that saved the Battle of the Bulge for the Allies was the fact that because Patton had received all the fuel and ammunition he fucking needed in order to actually have his reserves topped off.
Yeah.
He was able to drive north and fucking hit the flank and actually fucking do the damage that was necessary in order to relieve Bastogne.
Yeah.
And then when the counterattack towards Foy and whatnot begins, at that point in time, they just continued the drive. But that was the problem, is that had there not been a reprioritization from Montgomery to Patton, the Battle of the Bulge would have looked a lot fucking different.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the shit in the case of Montgomery, most of the shit would have been tied up north and cut off from the rest of the U.S. or from the U.S. forces.
Yep.
So that again, that's why I'm not a fan of Montgomery. I'm not a fan of fucking of MacArthur. I'm not a fan of fucking fucking de Gaulle himself. You know, the little shitbird was like, we need to, you Americans need to hang back and let us march into Paris first. It's like, fuck you, dude. It's like, we're trying to fucking fight a war here, not fucking do a camera roll. Go fuck yourself. Mm-hmm. And again, the treatment of Pétain after the or during and after the war with the propaganda from the Republicans in France, like that shit was just fucking retarded. Because again, it's like, what is Pétain supposed to do? He's supposed to just, force a million Frenchmen to die. It's like, is that what you're saying? Is that a million Frenchmen have to die, even though you guys had lost, fucking 25% of your population in the previous war? Okay.
Yeah. And what was it? The other thing? Weygand showed. I'm convinced if Weygand had been in command of the French army and not George's, that war they would have just invaded Germany like they wanted to. But I think they sent Weygand off to Syria because they knew he would do that. And they only recalled him to after George's had completely screwed it up.
Yeah, well, again, you run into these problems, and this is actually, there's a lesson to be learned here, is that again, the radicals and the miscreants among us are the ones that are going to cause the fucking problems, and it's always going to be the hard chargers and the fucking moderates that come in and clean up the fucking mess. Mm-hmm. Again, like I look at Patton, fucking, Omar Bradley a little bit less than Patton and Terry Allen, for example. If you haven't done some research on Terry Allen, you should do some research on Terry Allen. The dude, like, he was Patton's main support guy. Okay. Terry Allen's division was the only infantry division that Patton fucking would rely on exclusively. He would not go into battle if he did not have Terry Allen. And mind you, Omar Bradley was trying desperately to get Terry Allen pulled from command. Like the politics between those three was fucking stupid. Patton actually basically told Bradley to go fuck himself.
Yeah. Do you know that Eisenhower nearly wasn't a thing?
Yeah, I'm aware.
Oh yeah, I'm aware. FDR, I believe in the book I read on Tunis, said, "I'm not accustomed to promoting losers."
Yeah, and then the guy goes on to outperform so many expectations.
Yeah.
That Eisenhower or Roosevelt is at the point of where we're getting into the last years of or the last months of 44. He's getting to the point where he's thinking about pulling Eisenhower because Eisenhower's doing too well.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't hear about that. I just knew about.
Oh no, Roosevelt fucking hated Eisenhower. He fucking
Oh, yeah.
despised him because he showed Roosevelt up.
Yeah, I mean, the British were like, the problem was that Eisenhower is a great army group commander, but he was a terrible corps commander. And so what happened at Tunis is that the British are like, no, we need you to promote this guy and put him in charge. He's perfect for the job. And we'll put Alexander under him so he can run the day-to-day stuff and it'll work out perfectly. And people are like, I'm not too sure about this, but no, trust us. We see his potential here.
Well,
sometimes the British can actually be not dumb.
Well, again, and what we learn later, again, some of the declassifications that have occurred, what you end up having is that the British they chose Eisenhower for one reason and one reason only, because they needed somebody who was in the political zeitgeist of the U.S. military so that they could actually do what they wanted to do. And they needed somebody who was willing to kind of be walked on a little bit. And in the early days, Eisenhower was that guy, like, to an extent. Yeah. But then Eisenhower got his footing under him. And then he actually started realizing, like, as time went on, and then eventually when he realized, like, no, Patton should be my fucking focus, period, in a story, that's when the shift up happened. And then Eisenhower went from being the guy that got walked on and had to toe the line to, no, fuck you, Churchill. I'm not going to do what you fucking tell me to. I'm fighting my own I'm fighting this war, not you.
Right.
Anyways, reading into the ancillary shit that happens in the background of all these situations is very important, because once you start to get the full understanding of what each of these men were thinking or hoping to do, again, Montgomery was using this as a way to rebuild his fortune after the absolute shit show that was North Africa. Like you have the situation at Tobruk, you have this, that, and the other, and then they manage
before Monty's in charge. Monty's the guy that gets to come and save that. There's another guy, Archibald. I can't remember his name right now. He's got Lundchek or something like that. He was the guy who lost Tobruk.
Oh, okay.
So Monty is one of the reasons why I like him is he was the Mr. Fix-It man in Africa.
Okay. I apologize. I thought because again, the whole situation when and as Stoner said in the chat, again, after Market Garden happens, like, everybody is looking at Monty like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah. He had a pretty good reputation right up into Market Garden, and then he nearly gets sacked because he pisses off Eisenhower. And Churchill's like, says, okay, we're going to, if you don't shut up and just be nice to these Americans, I'm going to replace you with Alexander. And he was quiet as a mouse after that.
Well, again, the simple fact is that reading into this shit, it's important. It's very, very much a case of, like, you get an actual fucking understanding. And that goes back to our earlier points that we were making, is like, the moderates among us, you actually put the information in front of them. They make the right decisions. They make the right calls. They're not stupid. The average American is not retarded. The average commentariat is fucking retarded.
Yeah.
The average American is not retarded. So,
Yeah, the algorithm likes to promote retardation, not good, smart people.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a reason why Tom Luongo has to rely on people like us to actually get his message out there, you know, at the
Yep.
end of the day.
Yep.
And we're just the lemmings on the side at this point in time.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking for nearly 2 hours. I think that's a pretty good stream there.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's a good place to stop. I actually need to sit down. I was trying to record this morning. I run a small YouTube channel. That's where the Warhound
Yeah.
comes from, actually. I run a small gaming YouTube.
Ah,
And I was trying to record because today was actually the release day for a game called Menace that I've been looking forward to. And I made the realization, because I haven't been recording as consistently as I should be as of late. You know, my daughter being a thing. And I made the
I'm going to
rediscovery.
end the stream right here, and we can take this offline.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. It was great to have like 4 concurrent people often online today. So hopefully, if you like this comment, like, share, subscribe, do the thing. Thanks, and bye.
Ciao.